By the early 1900s, Europe was a powder keg. Old empires, rising nationalism, and military alliances made war inevitable. That spark came on June 28, 1914, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. But why did one killing lead to a world war? Because someone wanted it to. Within weeks, nearly all of Europe was at war. And behind the scenes, private bankers funded both sides. The House of Morgan, the Rothschilds, Warburg Bank, all profiting off chaos and death. When the U.S. entered the war in 1917, the Federal Reserve was ready, a war machine fueled by printed money and growing debt. This wasn't just a war between nations, it was a business. Before World War I, Americans didn't want to fight. President Wilson even won re-election promising peace. But just months later, the U.S. was at war. What changed? Public opinion was manipulated. The Lusitania was sunk. Americans were outraged. But the ship was secretly carrying weapons. Germany had warned civilians not to board. It was a setup, a trigger event to justify war. Wilson created the Committee on Public Information, America's first propaganda machine. Hollywood, newspapers, and artists sold the war. Patriotism was manufactured, dissent was silenced. War meant destruction, but also profit. American banks loaned billions to the Allies. Weapons companies like DuPont made fortunes. The War Industries Board handed out contracts to insiders. It wasn't patriotism, it was business. Soldiers died, bankers thrived. After the war, Europe was in ruins. But America emerged as the new financial empire, holding Europe's debt and controlling its future. The Treaty of Versailles was signed in 1919, but peace was never the goal. Germany was left broken and humiliated. Debt, despair, resentment, a seed for something darker. World War I didn't end war, that guaranteed the next one. Globalists pushed for a League of Nations, shifting power from nations to central planners. The Federal Reserve had proven its power. The war machine was profitable and unstoppable. And when war becomes profitable, peace becomes the enemy. After World War I, the victors celebrated. But beneath the parades and treaties, a global debt web was tightening. The Treaty of Versailles demanded that Germany pay astronomical reparations. Over 132 billion gold marks, a sum designed to crush, not rebuild. Germany's economy collapsed. Hyperinflation exploded. Families used wheelbarrows of cash just to buy bread, but someone profited. American and British bankers reaped billions from the ashes of Europe. The same financiers who funded both sides of WWI were now lending to rebuild what they helped destroy. A silent empire was growing, not with armies, but with compound interest. In the U.S., the Federal Reserve began flexing its muscle. With Europe in chaos, America emerged as the world's new banker. The Fed lowered interest rates, flooded the system with easy money, then yanked it all away. The result? The Great Depression. But this wasn't an accident. It was engineered scarcity. As people lost homes and jobs, bankers bought assets for pennies. J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, Warburg, the same names. The system wasn't broken. It was working exactly as designed. While citizens suffered, the Fed grew more powerful than ever. Meanwhile, in Europe, the fallout from WWI bred extremism. Germany found a voice in Adolf Hitler. But how did a failed artist become a global force? Behind the scenes, Hitler was funded by bankers and industrialists, even some from Wall Street, like Prescott Bush. Why? Because chaos breeds control, and Hitler's war machine meant profit. Steel, oil, debt, weapons. Money never picked a side. It simply moved the pieces. As the world braced for another war, the elite were ready. The same powers that survived WWI would shape the next one too. As the 1930s came to a close, a hidden agenda was in motion. War wasn't a tragedy, it was a tool. A tool to shift borders, crash markets, tighten control. The Federal Reserve and its allies were too big to question. The world was walking toward catastrophe. But for the elite, it was just another reset. World War II wasn't just inevitable, it was profitable. And soon, new operations would begin.